Hey guys, so for all I'm in England, I'm finding it difficult to find time to make videos still. It's just the only time of the year I get to see my family, so I'm kind of all over the place dealing with that. But Fritzy and I have the day to ourselves today, and whilst we are driving to where we're going, I want to talk about something. Now that I'm back in England, I can see what the media is like, and I've got more time to participate in the other sides of media, like the stuff that's on the internet, etc. And it's a side of the media that no one likes ultimately, and no one wants to hear about, and it's all the fear. And the thing that I've seen, I saw the other day, someone left me a comment actually, which is where this began, challenging me why God would help children in one area whilst in another area a child was brutally killed in Syria. And I didn't know anything about it, so I had to have a look and research it, and it was heartbreaking. This little boy had been killed by Syrian rebels. And on the same place, the same page, there were other links to news stories, and I see why everyone's so scared of what's going on, and it's so barbaric what's going on with ISIS, etc. I mean, men getting burnt alive is horrendous, and it's horrible, and it's so inhumane and disgusting that words fail you. But why is it that we have these things going on in the world? Now, if you look at, for instance, not always, but look at some of the people where they've had the most media coverage, and it's a horrible subject, and I'm not saying it justifies it in any way, but one man that was killed by ISIS, who was burned alive, was a pilot. I believe others were as well. But that's a pilot who drops bombs on the families of those people who have burnt them alive. Now, it's a strange thing. Now, it doesn't justify it. Of course, no one deserves to be burnt alive for any reason whatsoever. Don't get me wrong here. But here in the West, I've seen nice, well-directed adverts advertising for young men and women to join the army, to join the Air Force, to join the Navy. Now, if you join the Air Force and you go and drop bombs on somewhere to try and kill your enemy, we know that innocent men, women and children get burnt alive when you do that. That is just a fact, an unfortunate fact of how it works. The difference is with what you're seeing with ISIS is they are so blatant and upfront about it that it touches you and it hurts you to your core. But if you use your mind, you'll see that just because they are so brazen about it, they're putting it out there and they're saying, right, we're going to burn somebody alive. When you hear that there's been airstrikes by nations, when you hear that your own country has dropped bombs, when you hear that allied countries to your own are dropping bombs, then you should remember that indeed innocent children will have been burning alive when that happens. And in your own country, when you see these well put together adverts trying to entice your children and your nieces and nephews and your friends.
What about us then? Don't join the army.
Don't what? Don't leave here. Don't learn something new, something that matters. Don't find out what I'm capable of. Don't prove them all wrong. Basically, don't become a better me. Let's get some food.
Is that an order?
You're funny. Why is she laughing?
Friends into a career path that is about, the core of it is about protection, but a lot of it is about killing. A lot of it is about burning people alive with bombs, etc., using drones these days. then we should all start correlating the two together and saying there's a reason behind this. Now, I don't in any way condone naturally what's going on. It's horrible, and I can't bear that human beings like that exist. But when you encourage your children, for example, that the idea of joining the Air Force is a good career path, then what if they become a fighter pilot and they drop a bomb? They might burn alive 100 children. And how do those children feel? Just because there's not a camera watching it happen doesn't make it any less horrible and any less sad. It's still happening. The only difference is, and it's a big difference, is that here in the West we are not honest about it. We put these nice adverts on the TV enticing the youth to come and join the armed forces. ISIS put these propaganda videos out to scare you, to put a gun to your mind and to say, fear us. But at the same time, they do recruitment videos to bring people in. But at least they are very open and clear, we are killers. Here in the West, for far too long, we have beckoned young people to join armies which have rarely fought for the betterment or the freedom of humanity, and have often and only fought for the expansion of the financial military complex, ultimately, for oil, etc. And if you find that hard to believe and to understand, it is just a fact of how it works. And there's a really great example just across the border from where I live in Tanzania. Many of you will remember this project to make Kony famous. There was an NGO found money from somewhere to make Kony famous. Now, Kony was the head of the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army, and he was taking children in Uganda and creating child soldiers. He was teaching them to use rape as weapons, and he was getting them hooked on heroin from a young age to do this. He was a monster. And the West did nothing. They didn't do anything whatsoever. They didn't move in, they didn't go to help, they didn't offer financial support to hunt him down. They left it. Now in 2006, pretty much, he disappeared into the Congo. Everybody in East Africa knows he disappeared, and there were just leftover platoons of the LRA in Uganda. They were still there, but he was gone. No one had seen him. In 2011 or 2010, Uganda found oil. And when they found oil, America announced that they would send troops to Uganda to establish a military base to help to find Kony. And it was such blatant propaganda that the African people know exactly what went on that time. They know that when they found oil, they made a military base, but when they were needed for humanitarian reasons to end the suffering of those children and the people who were being attacked by the LRA, they didn't go. Not until there was a financial benefit to establish some sort of military action within the country. And this is exactly why our military are ultimately a private security force, expanding on the empire of the centralized banking system and the oil interests of those wealthy elite. And I'm not saying that you should hold all soldiers accountable who join, because they might not even know about this. Most don't. They don't have a clue about this. But when you see things like ISIS burning people alive, and then we know that our young men and women are going over there and dropping bombs and burning children alive, the only solution is to stop using violence to try and end violence. Because when you burn the child of a man alive in a bomb attack, you fill him full of anger and hatred. And if that doesn't heal, of course he's going to go out and seek revenge. And it's one of the most corrosive aspects of human nature. when you're violent to someone, they tend to respond with violence if they are not disciplined or if they are not helped to become more evolved spiritually. So I just wanted to speak about that. I find it strange that in the UK, the armed forces don't honestly tell you what's going on, they lie. They tell you, come join, have a good career. They don't say, come and be a killer, come and burn people alive. But ISIS do tell people that that's what they're doing. But they do it because they want to put a gun inside your brain and scare you with a bullet of fear. That's what they're doing it for. And I'm not saying that those men who were burned alive deserved it because they had dropped bombs and burned people alive. But for all it's horrendous, just because you can see someone being burned alive, remember that when we drop the bombs on the innocent, that innocent families go through that as well. And it's not right. And the only way you can bring it to a close is to call for peace. It's the only way to do it. I'm not saying it's that simple, because I know that there are now crazy ISIS people out there. But were they there before we started bombarding the Middle East with our armies? When I say our, I mean the Western nations, which unfortunately I was born in. Was it there? Was it as much a problem? Because it was not. We created this problem, the West created this problem by attacking those countries. But why did we attack them? And it would appear to anyone with any sense and reason it had nothing to do with defending ourselves or protecting the countries that are fighting, but had everything to do with expanding the financial interests of the global elite. So don't encourage your children to go off and burn people alive for a living. Encourage them to lobby for no war. Encourage them to be an activist for peace and for respect of others' rights. Or get behind them to be someone who is good with words, who can maybe bring around those who are die-hard Islam and those who are die-hard another faith, to maybe find some union between things. So as we can establish a dialect instead of